Yes. Hello, everyone, or whatever.
Whatever. Hello, whatever.
Or we're just talking to the void.
Hmm. What up?
Uh,
How you doing?
I was about to say I'm feeling better, but this morning not so much. But I'm okay. And oh yeah, yesterday I did this nail salon at
Yeah,
the
how was it?
school. Good. I actually like so in the end, in like 2 hours, there were like 5 people. And I started to feel like this is like more like a therapy for myself, like having people come and just like talk with them, which is like it's like therapeutic in a way, and it's just taking time painting their nails. I mean, everyone's happy that their nails done, but I was also like thinking, like, I mean, it's very tiring practice, but I was also thinking like, wow, like this is like for me, it's like a moment when I sit down and just talk with some other people visiting me.
But then the people, I mean, it's just people that start talking with about their things, or
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. Like some people like to talk, other people, I would, ask some questions. I mean, just random stuff. But, like most of them are students. Like one of them was a teacher from the school, and others were students. But, like most of them, like I don't really like have time like talking with them, like because we just meet at the seminars,
right,
and
right, yeah.
everyone's busy. I'm not busy right now. Well, at the school, but no, I just
Everybody's
everyone's like running around. So,
so. But this was part of your. You finish everything at your school right now, right?
yeah,
Not part of. This is not part of your grades. What you
no,
did.
no, I cannot get uh, anything for this. I mean, I'm just like starting to do this like as a practice. I mean, for the final showing in July, and I want to iterate a little bit before
Ah,
doing it.
yeah, because at the end you have to show something, which will be
Exactly.
uh something similar to what you did.
Yeah, like I was thinking like yeah, I mean, this is also like very related to like all these problems we're having at the school right now. Um, I don't know how, I don't know if we talked about it, but like, for example, there was, it's not even sexual harassment, there's sexual assault to one of the
What?
students.
Oh,
And,
who?
and
I mean,
also,
between can you specify like so between students or what?
I think it's between students. I mean, it's very like problematic, the incident itself, but also the school tried to like, not make it like a big thing about it. So they tried to like not to hide and conceal, but it gave that impression, especially when the victim had to talk about this. Like she sent email to the public group about the incident because nobody was like there was no like proper like information from the school about what
Oh,
happened or like any follow up.
wow.
Yeah, that was really really nasty.
Yeah.
And there's another problem with the professor who was fired, um, and it's really questionable. Like he was like sending like emails that was quite provocative, like in a way that um, like he was not using like right words,
What
like
like
just basically complaining about the administration about the school, which
okay.
is which is fair. But then he was using words about like Nazi and stuff like that, and
Uh,
that became like problem in itself. And then the school, this or the rector decided to fire him because of this issue. And this is also like very question. I'm like, okay, like I was like really annoyed by all this like drama with the emails, but at the same time, like just because of that, firing the professor,
Right.
and people are like comparing this to another case which happened like a couple of years ago when it was around the time I started. Basically, there's a professor who did sexual harassment, and the school couldn't fire him because of the contract.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
stayed, and that was really, really, really nasty. But something I heard is because of that incident, now they have the like they when they sign the contract, there is a clause that I don't know exactly what it is, but basically the school can fire the professor or lecturer if there's something like a problem like this.
Regardless of their seniorship.
Yeah, but then again, like I don't know what the exact condition, but you know, based on this email, and then like the rector decided to fire him, is like it's that's not really cool. It's a little bit. I mean, like we need information in any case. Like there was no really like information, and also this the fact that they fired him, it came from the professor who was fired, and not there's no official announcement from the school. So it's like again, there's no like communication from the school, which is like probably there is for the employees, but not to the students at least, and to just you know. So what I want to say is like all these problems like happening, and I was really like reluctant to do something big for the final showing.
Mm.
Like I thought about like I had to like talk with other like some of the professors, and basically like one idea is to boycott, or like as a protest, like not to do anything. But then it could be also like using this opportunity for something else. I mean, to basically like make it better. I think that's more constructive. And I decided, like I don't want to spend energy in a way like, for example, my performance would be also about my identity, and that's like, you know, I don't want this confrontation. I don't want to like do something like that, like something vulnerable in a space where I don't feel safe,
So,
basically.
oh, of course, no,
Yeah,
no, that no, it takes. Yeah, no, I understand. Of course.
yeah. But for example, the nail salon would be like to create a space and like to feel safe for myself and for others. And
Yeah,
I think that would be
perhaps what you could do is like perhaps you can take. I mean, the nail salon is, for what I understand, is quite neutral. So you can make something symbolic where, in a way, you address, no, maybe not directly, but you can just through dramaturgy, like just what like what in pop they do, like through narratives, then just create a framework where basically not you but everybody who passes through speak out of what they think about this
mm,
subject. And that I think that will be constructive. Like I think that will be taking some position, but also in a safe space, and not also where you necessarily alone speak, which I think is not so. Um, uh, I think it's better when you hear different. When I mean, when the university can feel that there are different voices being affected.
right. Yeah, and I think like there are like good initiatives happening at the school. There's a really interesting seminar that is like basically it's like student organized, student run seminar. So it's like officially like happening like weekly with a space on the campus. But it's basically like I think there is a lecturer who's assigned to run the seminar, because it has to be a seminar that you have to attend, the students have to attend, and the lecturer or professor is there. So but I think they try to like find someone who can give the space to the students, so the students can self-organize. And the good thing is that there's a budget for this. So, I mean, not big budget, but like people bring snacks and then they can get reimbursed for that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what people need. People need to eat.
Right, totally.
Like,
yeah, I mean that's like
you
fundamental thing.
connected with me now. Like people need to eat.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I've been in touch with like people in that seminar. We could do something together or not, but yeah, um, yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm quite happy about where it's going, I think.
Sounds good.
What's that voice?
No, I'm just like, I think we're just relaxed. I think I just
No,
relaxed.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday I talked with Anton.
Okay.
For some specificities about Capture, the software that we use at Motion Bank.
Right.
He was telling me then also about he's about to finish his master's finally. This is crazy because this guy didn't have his high school diploma
Right.
3 years ago. And now he's about to finish his master's non-stop. But then what is a bit weird, or I don't know how to feel about it, or sad, is that he was telling me that, to be honest, that he didn't really learn in his master something new.
I see.
He's just fed up with this. He just want to get, he's just doing what he's requested from the bureaucracy of the university.
But is that the Hochschule Mainz or something else?
His master
Okay.
also is within the Hochschule. Yeah, it's
Okay.
about topology and system design, I think. No, it's topology of information design, I think.
Okay.
So I was asking him about his graduation project, and it's quite interesting. Like, I think perhaps like we could. So basically, what he's doing, for what I remember, he's searching for a case of use where he basically show that you don't need a lot of infrastructure or a lot of money to create telematics between telematics.
Okay.
So in his case, what he's doing, he's using RTC web to stream data, packages of data, and he will use sound location. So it's quite abstract, but from what I understand is like, and in both ends, then you define some characteristic sound for each of the performers. So let's say there are two movers at the end of the pipeline, and they will have, say, maybe a sine wave, and the other one will have a square wave. And then from there, so then you calibrate put like some initial state, and then from there, in space using sonification in 3D, it's kind of like virtual sound. Then the other person will have the location, will understand what is the other person in relation to its body. Does that make any sense?
So, like, what, for example, like if we are doing this, like I hear you.
Yeah.
In
first,
like with
first
my
you have to
headset, basically.
Yeah. So first, like you, me. So then we define a initial state based on sounds, and then from there we start moving, and then basically we have feedback of each other and in relation to the space.
Yeah. But does it mean like if you're like virtually like moving from here to here, then I hear sound from there,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
And if you
yeah,
moved here, then I hear the sound moving in the
yeah, that's
space.
like the base ground of that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how. Yeah, so that's some case of use. But of course, like we were talking that would be perfect, like for instance, for something like us, like would be interesting because we have a case of use of telematics with these practices. So, and this is something that is really applied with in virtual reality. You really have the sound really plays like that by default in a way. um,
Mm.
so I can imagine that. So what we were talking with Anton Fast was like, because he will start deploying this, I guess, in August, and I need to start working on my thing on September. So that's something that perhaps we can make it also work, because he will need for his research, he will need a he will need some case of use where he can uh, document the process.
Yeah, like a test bed kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that could be interesting, because he just basically give us something ready to use, and then we just that could be interesting. Yeah. Also, because I mean that's the entry point, but you can send anything, because this the system is robust because it exists for some years already. Uh, so you can basically send any kind of package.
I see.
So he was seeing from the quality of movement qualities, which those are very abstract. Then depends on what is that you define as effort, or I don't know, energy of, uh, and that will be interesting, because those are things that you have to define um, yourself. You have to enter like a conceptual ground before implementing that, and then implementing that, and then trying, and then so implementing in code, and then deploying that and testing with the dancers. So it will be a very interesting process.
I see. But I mean, for a technical thing, like, is it tracking or is it like, how does it work with this
In a way,
for
like
the
could be
input?
tracking,
Yeah.
could be tracking. Then you can use different ways to track, but could be tracking. Like
Mm.
one way of tracking is like using something that he was trying to explain to me within uh something for RTC for sound, that it uses the position, that's tracking the position, use based on an initial state in relation to the other endpoint. So but it's tracking an initial state.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but then of course you can then also start using you're gonna start tracking different things, and then just send. Yeah it is very abstract, of course, like but it seems like could be something that I can see us applying, especially because I have this in my head that at some point we should try to do a practice to do some maybe kind of a residence on virtual reality,
Mm.
because this is really made somehow for like a gear like Oculus Quest 2 has this thing already embedded. So I can see that perhaps we could at some point do a residence where we explore this for a week or 2 weeks, and could be interesting.
Yeah.
Also towards a performance, perhaps. I mean, in terms of like this, in a way, it produced something that in a way is kind of tangible, or I would say like appealing, aesthetically appealing, and not so complicated from the audience perspective.
Mm.
Say for instance, what you and me do often is very glitchy, right? So in that sense, this could be interesting towards a performance that we can do in telematics. One performance that use this technology specifically.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And
I
he, I
was,
mean, and Anton will be interested. What I'm saying is, Anton will be interested in 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 finding people to do this, but also he doesn't have to. That's what he was telling me. That originally he was trying to do that, but then he realized also for his project and time, he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But then I said, like, perhaps that's something that we can make it work within the ecosystems, like within the academy, the motion bank, Hochschule, and make it work in terms of resources, time, space. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just started thinking, I mean, just saying this aloud, but this could be interesting direction. I don't know how many, if there's like anyone interested in like providing service like this, but we could just, write to companies doing whatever telematic stuff, related stuff, and just, we could just say that, we have this use case, so we can use your service if you want to, like, test it, or if you want something in your portfolio.
No, I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
So this time, like Anton would be like, basically he has kind of a product that he
Yeah,
wants
that
to
he needs to
test.
test. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Test. And I don't know if there's like, if there are companies who's doing more like experimental stuff, not just like video conference. And if they need to, yeah, somehow like find out like use case. Well, I don't know. I'm just like trying to think, maybe it's hard to get money from this, but if there's like a company who's interested in like collaborating, basically, but like
No,
with that tools like that.
totally. Like we could be professional dummy buddies.
Exactly. I don't know like how to frame it, but
No, it,
there might be like a niche,
no, it makes sense. You need people. I mean, you cannot just only do it with dancers. You need people who has this threshold of, yeah, they need to know how to implement these things.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that should be a. We can even just. I mean, I'm sure like Anton has to do an study part of his, because he's basically his proposal, as I said, is towards open source and to show that you don't need these big things. And so he needs to do a study of the market, and that could be interesting because then we just jump on that like, oh, what are those numbers? what is the hole in that market field? What is opportunity?
Mm. Yeah, I just remember like when I was part of this project, but it's like hard to explain. They basically wanted to do like, it's like a musical piece with like 100 members from like different choirs, and then they wanted to do like virtual rehearsals because it was
Right.
during COVID. And then I think they got access to how do you call it? It's like this like work adventure, or this 2D environment, like Mozilla Hubs kind of stuff, but 2D.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but that service is like you said, they're like specialized in like audio spatialization. So you can hear, like basically they render the sound so that you can hear from where others are in the virtual
Right.
space. So that would have been like a good use case for this practicing with, different
Yeah.
members from the choir. But then again, like audio latency and stuff comes in. So in the end, I don't think we did anything, but I think we got access to the service anyways, because it's like art project. It's not like a commercial project that we were doing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure like if there's anything interesting, like we could contact and they might give us access. but I would be interested if they can pay us for something, but I don't know if that's like there's like that much like investment to what we do.
But this is interesting, like to I mean, to enter in this domain as exploration, because we need to find ways to make sustainable what we do.
Right.
So then I was thinking like that at the beginning when I entered Just Project, I was taking that role of project management, and since the project was very much at the threshold of product design, especially back then, we didn't know uh, if to make a product out of it or not, and I was taking more the role of like, uh, yeah, trying to create to find a niche and doing all the market research, and I was taking the product management of that was my role. And then we pitched that project even to one bank, I remember, as part of these
Ah,
hubs.
yeah, I think I remember you said that. Yeah.
So like, and I'm just like mentioning this because it was very interesting to see like the reactions of people. I don't know with George what was his thought. My thought was really to get actually the resources from that.
Mm.
Um, but then I'm thinking that this that you're mentioning, like I really see like a case of use for a niche market that actually now should be moving since the technologies are moving so fast. Um, where you if you need people like dancers with technical knowledge to test your products, that's a very niche. That's a niche group. Especially if you want to do it, let's say in some kind of low budget, like because otherwise you have to hire the technician and also the dancer and also and a whole crew, which makes the thing more expensive at the end. So I'm thinking that that could be. I mean that I see without knowing too much that the fact that you and me can do uh, play both roles, the create dancer creator and the technician technologist, give us this niche. Um, um, then also underlining, like your like in a way, like what we did with the application with Modena, that you are the technical guy, that I'm the artist guy in a way. Um, so this is one thing, but then the other thing is that, well, so the other thing will be to check around, because like then it's, I mean, to check to see what is happening with these things. Like there should be a lot of things appearing right now, especially with artificial intelligence things. Like they're just like bumping every day, and could be interesting to see. Um, even, I mean, we can talk of this after, especially maybe not on a public video, but
Which companies talk to? No.
no, but more in terms of like said, like this is something that we have to do for a while, but also put kind of like benchmark. That's the way how normally you do in this when you do a market study. So like you try to do a benchmark, or like you try. I mean, it's not something that I see myself doing for 5 years. It's not something that I'm interesting to do for the rest of my life. So it could be something that we have to define. Okay, maybe we want to do this for a year, and then spend some time doing this. Uh, yeah, and defining also the roles of what are you doing, what I'm doing. So this is something that perhaps could be interesting to explore, and to document also, because we are at that threshold of the artist and design in terms of product, like artist and design product, client product. Uh, so even as a just as a research will be interesting for documentation, like then write something. It has an academic branch that I'm seeing there, like that is something that I think that I'm interested to start like developing, to start writing, to start like sharing the content, to start hearing voices and critiques about what we do, so to open the dialogue for other people to get more involved also. And this could be one case of use, like to the market.
Mm.
the artist designer going for clients.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like if we do like market research, yeah, we might find like interest from something we don't expect. Like I remember when I was working for a professor in Toronto, like we had a project that was like partially funded by like mobile company. Like they have like basically they try to make like a fab lab kind of space, but they just don't know what to do with this budget and space. So they just like, well, in the end, like what we didn't really use their equipment except the laptop, which is a bit sad, but I think there was also money involved. And yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to make it, for the big companies to have something that, well, not just like investment to art in art, but something, state of the art, basically, to
Yeah,
showcase.
and especially because it really checked the boxes, like, so I mean, from the company side, then they are investing in art, but also from the also you can see it from the academic point of view. There is research in that threshold of art and design, which is something that's recent in Belgium, which is really rigid with these ways how you apply and so on. Um, they changed the laws here, I think, 2 years ago, and in a way, so say before you have a really clear differentiation and also payments and taxes on the artists and the technicians, and
Mhm.
now um, there is not such a and in a way, so the technicians who are, let's say, so the technician now is being seen close to the design work in paperwork. Yeah, in a way, there's a big picture of so this is something that in Belgium they're invested, like in the place where I was studying, for instance, like when I entered to study there, the program at the second year of study, you were supposed to take a profundization or in art and technology or in development, because what I studied was web development basically. Um, but and Peter Steyer from Seeds, he was the teacher of art and technology. When I moved, so when I was in the moment to select, already the program changed because the
Mhm.
policies changed also, and this undefined role of the Hochschule, who is also trying to give some art, was removed from there. So now the Hochschule cannot provide art. Art, you have to go and see it in the university.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and now they in my university, you can select clearly somehow like profundization in a way. What in my portfolio it said like my focus was generative motion design with focus in I don't remember, but it was generative motion design. That's the profundization, which give you some classes in touch designer and BJ stuff like motion design, After Effects, and so on. But then you can also go VR and so on. But so these are just classes who are technical classes. They don't speak about art anymore.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I was mentioning all of this in regard to what we are speaking because it's something that is new, like this threshold of the artist designer, which classically has been apart. When you start working with technology and artists using technology, um, it's a topic that has to be this still must be developed from the academy. So where there are research made on those topics, which means that the research often needs to go to hand in hand with clients as designer client. Yeah, I'm mentioning this because that will be your case. Like you have a client, and then you
Right.
go at that threshold. You're artist, but also you're a designer.
I see. Yeah. True. Hmm. Well, that's something because I mean, but then again, like it becomes like, different hat kind of example. And basically like on one hand, like we try to like, sell the product or the service
The
that
service, yeah,
appeals
yeah,
to them. But on the other hand, like we want to keep it so that like keep the, for example, in our case, it's a practice. So it's not like, it's not making for the market, something making, I mean, we have to like format it to sell, but the core of the practice shouldn't change, right? Or like,
uh,
we have to
oh,
use that opportunity to do something good for us that benefits
yeah,
us.
yeah. Because I mean, the practice, like, and I think that's why I think it's very useful when we already start developing this language. When we said like there is this sandbox, so this sandbox should be there. I was thinking all today like, oh, we should do this one of these things soon. So this is something that is there, and it is and it serves as a sandbox. Um, it's a virtual machine somehow. We can test also things there, but
Yeah.
then because we know how it works, then we can take different roles or hats and then try to go in certain place. And the thing is, in a way now, to that we don't say classically normally in design, in a way, I mean, I'm speaking like big terms, no, like, so bear with me. Like classically in a way, like they are like to the artist is not so much push what he wants to do, because in terms of it, like it's just something that it is defined through heuristics or this process on the going, finding meaning of what you're doing, while in the design process is more linear. Like before you start doing a chair, you know how the chair will look like. You know how the chair will be functioning. The
Mm.
art object is not functional. It might be functional, but it's not a requirement from the beginning, because the artist doesn't have to. That's not the role of the classically of the artist. Then with the design, classically speaking, again, you have this understanding of what is a chair. Let's say the example of a chair. You can be artistic as you want with your chair, depending on what the client wants, but the chair nevertheless must be a chair, and a person needs to be able to sit on the chair.
Right.
This so this is classical. I'm saying, I'm just trying to go to a point. um Nowadays, like, since these things are very cross, especially this is the case of us, is really cross, is entangled in this complexity. Perhaps we don't really need to define what is the function of the chair, although we know it's a chair. So we can know it's an abstraction of a chair. There is a function there, but maybe it doesn't have to be so robust. Maybe the chair, it can be a chair that the client knows that the chair might break after a while, because our purpose is with the chair to use it as an interface for something to happen that allow the client also to explore other mediums. Um, so what I'm saying is we don't necessarily need to know, because I mean, I'm saying that you start going in what is that we should do. What normally is that what you do, what you have a client like, that that's perhaps the place where, because we are at the intersection, maybe make not too much sense to start going to the classical design way, but just underlying that we don't know, which is more close to the artist. So it's not completely this we don't know as an artist, but also it's not completely we know what is going to be a chair, but it's something in between that you put in the proposal,
Mm.
and then understand that you are neither a classical artist, neither a designer, but a hybrid mix of both.
Okay. But that's our perspective, right? Because as a client, I think they, well, I don't know if they want something concrete or like the functionality